Hello guys, how are you? My name is Saheeb. The internet, a boundless frontier of information, connection, and opportunity. But like any frontier, it harbors hidden dangers, shadowy corners where deception thrives. Sharee Miller's case sent shockwaves through the online world, exposing the vulnerability of individuals navigating this uncharted territory. Her crimes were not of brute force, but of cunning manipulation and calculated deceit, all orchestrated through the impersonal glow of a computer screen. This was a new breed of criminal, operating in a realm where anonymity emboldened and distance insulated from the consequences of their actions. Sharee Miller's story became a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder that in the digital age, trust can be easily exploited and the line between reality and fabrication can become dangerously blurred. Sharee Miller's path to becoming a notorious internet criminal was paved with hardship and adversity. Born into poverty in rural America, Sharee's childhood was marked by instability and neglect. As a child, Sharee found solace in books and stories, immersing herself in worlds far removed from her own bleak reality. This love for fiction would later manifest in her online deceptions, where she effortlessly constructed elaborate narratives and assumed alternate identities. The internet became Sharee's escape, a digital realm where she could reinvent herself and shed the shackles of her difficult past. It was here, in the anonymity of cyberspace, that Sharee's talent for manipulation and deception began to take root, setting the stage for her future crimes. The internet offered Sharee a blank canvas, a digital playground where she could craft the life she always craved. She began by creating online profiles that bore little resemblance to her true identity, adopting glamorous personas that exuded confidence and charisma. These virtual facades were carefully constructed, each detail meticulously curated to project an image of success, sophistication, and desirability. Sharee's online transformations were so complete, so believable, that she began to inhabit these alternate identities, blurring the lines between reality and fabrication. The positive feedback and attention she received in the digital realm fueled her deceptions, reinforcing her belief that her true self was simply not enough. As Sharee's online presence grew, so too did her audacity. She began engaging in increasingly elaborate ruses, spinning tales of exotic travels, prestigious careers, and philanthropic endeavors. The internet, once a source of escape, had become an all-consuming obsession, fueling a dangerous cycle of deception and manipulation that would ultimately lead to her downfall. John, a successful businessman and recent divorcee, stumbled upon Sharee's online profile during a particularly vulnerable period in his life. Lonely and yearning for connection, John was immediately drawn to Sharee's online persona. What started as casual online conversations quickly blossomed into what John believed was a whirlwind romance. Sharee expertly mirrored John's interests and desires, weaving a tapestry of shared dreams and aspirations. John, blinded by his own loneliness and Sharee's masterful manipulation, readily accepted her fabrications as truth. As their online relationship intensified, Sharee skillfully exploited John's generosity, concocting elaborate stories of financial hardship. John, eager to prove his love and support, willingly opened his wallet, sending Sharee increasingly large sums of money. Unbeknownst to John, he was not the only target of Sharee's elaborate schemes. She was simultaneously juggling multiple online personas and relationships, each carefully crafted to exploit the vulnerabilities and desires of her victims. Despite Sharee's meticulous efforts to maintain her facade, cracks began to appear in her carefully constructed digital persona. John, though deeply enamored, couldn't shake off a nagging feeling that something wasn't quite right. Sharee consistently dodged his suggestions to meet in person, always offering plausible but ultimately flimsy excuses. Her stories, once so captivating, started to feel rehearsed, lacking the genuine emotional depth that John craved in a partner. Adding to John's growing unease were inconsistencies in Sharee's stories. Details about her work, her family, even her location seemed to shift and contradict each other, setting off alarm bells in John's mind. Driven by a mixture of hurt and anger, John started digging deeper into Sharee's online presence. He scoured her social media profiles, meticulously cross-checking details and timelines. John's heart sank as the realization dawned on him. He had been the victim of a calculated and elaborate con. Armed with his newfound knowledge and a burning desire for justice, John contacted the authorities. However, he was met with skepticism and a frustrating lack of urgency. John meticulously documented every interaction, every email, every financial transaction, building a compelling case that he presented to a more sympathetic detective in the cybercrime unit. Detective Miller, a seasoned investigator with a keen interest in internet-related crimes, decided to take on the case. Miller recognized that John's experience was not an isolated incident, but rather a disturbing trend of online predators exploiting the anonymity and reach of the internet. Miller and his team dove headfirst into the digital abyss, tracing Sharee's online activity through a labyrinth of IP addresses, fake profiles, and burner email accounts. The investigation culminated in a dramatic raid on Sharee's modest apartment. Surrounded by stacks of unopened packages, bills piled high on the counter, and a computer screen filled with incriminating evidence, Sharee's carefully constructed facade crumbled before her eyes. The trial of Sharee Miller captivated the nation, becoming a lightning rod for discussions about internet safety, online identity, and the challenges of prosecuting crimes in the digital age. The prosecution painted Sharee as a callous and calculating predator who heartlessly exploited the trust and vulnerability of her victims for personal gain. They presented a mountain of digital evidence, emails, chat logs, and financial records, all meticulously pieced together to expose the depth and breadth of Sharee's deception. Sharee's defense team argued that she was a victim of her own troubled past, a deeply insecure woman who sought solace and validation in the online world. The jury, faced with the daunting task of rendering a verdict in a case that defied traditional legal precedents, deliberated for days. Sharee was found guilty on several counts of fraud and identity theft, but acquitted on charges of emotional distress. Sharee was sentenced to a significant prison term, a stark reminder that the anonymity of the internet offered no shield from the consequences of criminal behavior. In the wake of the trial, John and Sharee's other victims were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. The financial losses, while significant, paled in comparison to the emotional toll exacted by Sharee's betrayal. John, once a confident and successful businessman, retreated from social situations, haunted by the memory of his online romance turned nightmare. Therapy became a lifeline for John and many of Sharee's other victims, providing a safe space to process the trauma of their experience and rebuild their shattered self-esteem. They found comfort in sharing their stories, realizing that they were not alone in their pain and vulnerability. The group therapy sessions became a source of strength and solidarity, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Slowly but surely, John and the other victims began to heal, reclaiming their lives and emerging from the shadow of Sharee's deceit with a newfound appreciation for genuine connection and a healthy skepticism towards the allure of online personas. While incarcerated, Sharee Miller became a subject of morbid fascination. Her story splashed across headlines and dissected in countless true crime documentaries. Sharee, once a master manipulator who thrived in the shadows of the internet, was now thrust into the harsh glare of public scrutiny. The internet, once Sharee's playground, now served as a repository of her deceit, preserving her crimes for posterity. Despite her incarceration, Sharee's impact on her victims continued to reverberate. The emotional scars of her betrayal lingered, a constant reminder of the fragility of trust and the devastating consequences of online deception. Sharee's case served as a stark reminder that the internet, for all its wonders and possibilities, was a double-edged sword. The case of Sharee Miller sent shockwaves through the legal system, exposing the inadequacy of existing laws in addressing the complexities of internet-related crimes. Prosecutors and lawmakers alike grappled with the challenge of applying traditional legal frameworks to offenses that transcended physical boundaries and often left no tangible evidence. In the aftermath of the trial, several states enacted stricter laws governing online impersonation and cyberstalking. Law enforcement agencies invested in specialized cybercrime units equipped with the technical expertise and resources to investigate and prosecute these complex cases. Beyond the legal ramifications, Sharee's story sparked a much-needed conversation about internet safety and the importance of online literacy. The internet, once a lawless frontier, was slowly but surely becoming a safer and more accountable space. thanks in part to the lessons learned from the web of deceit spun by Sharee Miller. The digital age, for all its advancements and conveniences, has ushered in a new era of vulnerability. The anonymity of the internet, while empowering in many ways, also provides fertile ground for deception and manipulation. Protecting ourselves in the digital age requires a multi-pronged approach. We must be vigilant about safeguarding our personal information online, limiting what we share on social media, and being wary of phishing scams and other attempts to steal our data. Educating ourselves about common online scams and red flags can help us identify and avoid potential threats before they escalate. By embracing a mindful and informed approach to our online interactions, we can mitigate the risks and harness the power of the internet for good. The legacy of Sharee Miller, though rooted in darkness, can serve as a beacon of light, guiding us towards a safer and more trustworthy digital future.